Growing up, my parents warned me of risks. Look both ways when you cross the street. Don't play with a loaded gun. Don't drink and drive. Life was simple. Dangerous? Yes, but I had been warned of the risks. Now my son is a teenager and he's buried in his cell phone. In his hand, he's carrying a telephone, a video camera, an audio recorder, and a computer connected to the entire world, all in one electronic device. In this episode, we will address cyberbullying and 3 types of dangers that our children currently face that they're not always warned about. Catfishing or impersonating. 2, sexting and revenge porn. And 3, just regular cyberbullying. A movie entitled Submit the Documentary deals specifically with these issues. First, let's discuss catfishing. That's taking advantage of using the anonymity and lack of accountability of the internet to impostor another and prank a victim, leaving him or her vulnerable and foolish. It's in this lack of accountability that triggers vicious, harmful, and outrageous behavior that parents and teens need to guard against.
Megan was confused. She was like, where is this coming from? What the heck? She got a message from Josh that said, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. You're not a nice person. You heard me. No one likes you. No one wants to be friends with you anymore. And there were things like, you're a fat bitch. No one would ever go out with you. You're nasty. You're disgusting. It was devastating to her. I just got an absolute horrible feeling. I don't know how else to describe it. I opened her door and I found her hanging in her closet.
The message wasn't sent from Josh, Megan's romantic interest. Josh was made up by Megan's best friend's mother. Megan's best friend's mother pretended to be Josh from an anonymous account set up to spy on Megan because Megan's mother wanted to ensure that Megan wasn't being mean to her daughter.
If we wouldn't accept offline behavior, then whoever said we should accept it online.
Second, sexting is another type of cyberbullying. Hope Witzel was induced by older boys to send a nude photo and experienced such cruel abuse for doing so afterwards that the repercussions from peers caused her to commit suicide.
Hope's events happened when she had made the mistake of taking the picture, and it became apparent to her whole school, along with at least 6 other schools in the area. She suffered a lot of ridicule, computer, cell phones. A lot of her incidents were face-to-face.
Sextortion or revenge porn is another way teens easily become victimized. It's so easy to forget the permanency of a photograph or digital device and their wide availability. Practically every teen has a recording device. Regrettable behavior leaves a permanent, constant, painful, and humiliating memory and powerful material for blackmail.
I have not heard of a single case across the country where any kid has actually been convicted of a sex crime as a result of a sext that was sent.
Hope made a mistake and took a nude photo of herself.
Have you ever sent a picture of yourself to a girl?
Yeah.
Do you feel worried about it?
What was going on online was happening in the real world. There would be, people marching. There would be, social change.
Third, the most common cyberbullying is pure emotional bullying online.
Unfortunately, I had a very personal experience, and it is the reason why I wrote my newest book, The Parent's Guide to Texting, Facebook, and Social Media. And at that point, my daughter was 16 years old, and it was her first day of her senior year at high school, and she was wrongfully accused of something that she didn't do, and she ended up being basically the target of a lot of kids by text message first, bullying her, and then it went up onto Facebook where she was cyberbullied there. It happened for a very long period of time. I knew about it in the beginning, what was happening. She came home, she was hysterical. And however, I really didn't know what to do, where to go, and how to stop it. And it wasn't like I could call the parents. I couldn't really, I couldn't go to them because they weren't involved with their kids. I have a straight A student. She had 50 best friends. She's a cheerleader. She was an ASB officer for her school. She was in leadership for 4 years, and it happened to her. She was a target. She held herself up in her room. She didn't go anywhere. She didn't do anything. She didn't trust her friends. She cut herself off from all of her friends. She felt like everyone was accusing her of doing something that she didn't do, and so therefore she doesn't have that trust, and she still doesn't have it today. And I did not know that was happening, and that's one thing that parents need to know is that 85% of teens don't tell their parents what's going on. And the fact is that I'm very close with my daughter. She told me in the beginning what was happening, but the details I did not know. I didn't know how it was affecting her day to day, hour by hour, minute to minute. I can tell you to this day, she doesn't trust anyone. She's having trouble making friends. Kids are just out there. They're out there to embarrass and humiliate others. And they're out there to make themselves look better. As a parent, I didn't know what to do and I didn't know how to help her. And I didn't realize it would have this type of result. And the reality is it does. It's painful. But most people I ask that question to, they have been bullied. But it was physical. But when you're bullied online and up on Facebook in front of everyone for the world to see, it's tragic. And I think that, parents, they don't realize how really embarrassing and how, it's just a complete, constant attack of personal esteem.
Shawn Edington, a mother, became an advocate because her daughter was cyberbullied and went from being a cheerleader and confident with the in crowd and with the parade of friends to becoming a victim of trauma, a young woman who wouldn't trust and had difficulty making or keeping friends. One of the worst things as a parent of a child who was cyberbullied was not knowing what to do or how to help. An expert, John Vandenburgh, discussed the dangers of cyberbullying and why it has become more lethal than just regular bullying.
I think what created the magnitude of cyberbullying was the amount of kids that would see it. And the stories were, not so much that these words hurt. It was the amount, it was the status of the person just absolutely would drop, because in the eyes of their peers, and you're talking about a massive audience, that status of the kid was being deflated. And I think it was the biggest pieces were not so much the words, but the audience, the size of the audience. It wasn't something that was happening in a bathroom and only 3 or 4 guys would see. It's happening in an arena where there's thousands and thousands of kids, and it keeps happening over and over.
Cyberbullying is a modern epidemic. What are the laws that apply to cyberbullying, sexting, and sextortion? And how effective are those laws in preventing cyberbullying? The answer is not very effective. What relief from crime will a victim of cyberbullying have? Unfortunately, 85% of victims of cyberbullying don't tell their parents because they don't want to lose their privileges to technology, their freedom from supervision from parents, or, particularly in the instances of sexting, to admit how they got in trouble in the first place. The 15% of parents who do learn about their children who have become victims of cyberbullying first go to the school for help. Most schools have zero tolerance policies, but those policies have to be balanced by the First Amendment. Professor Mark Grabowski summarized this balancing the schools have to do.
Believe it or not, cyberbullying is not always illegal. Cyberbullying is the use of email, instant messaging, chat rooms, pagers, cell phones, or other forms of information technology to deliberately harass, threaten, or intimidate someone. Following recent student suicides that were linked to cyberbullying, many states have passed or are considering laws that would criminalize cyberbullying. Such legislation, however, raises First Amendment issues. The problem is, Cyberbullying is often limited to online insults about things like someone's physical appearance, their intelligence, their friends, or things of that nature. So insults such as Sam is dumb, Jamal is fat, or Pedro is ugly are not illegal. They are simply opinions and therefore protected by the First Amendment, and that constitutional protection extends to mean opinions. However, private schools can punish all forms of cyberbullying because they're not governed by the First Amendment. Only public schools and the government are restricted by the Constitution's Free Speech Protection Clause. In addition, the United States Supreme Court has allowed public school officials in grades K through 12 to restrict student speech if it interferes with the school's educational mission. So public elementary schools and public high schools could probably punish students for cyberbullying with impunity. School officials may have difficulty identifying the culprits, however, since cyberbullying is often done anonymously. But the problem is, cyberbullying is not limited to children in K through 12 schools. It can occur in college and in the workplace. When a relationship goes bad, a person may cyberbully their former boyfriend or girlfriend. What can be done to stop that? Some forms of cyberbullying are illegal, regardless of where it happens or who does it. If a statement is threatening, such as "I'm going to kill you," it's not protected by the First Amendment. Or if the statement is libelous, which means it's provably false and seriously damages someone's reputation, it's not protected by the First Amendment. Or if the statement is an invasion of privacy. For example, if a cyberbully reveals a private fact, like a medical condition, that the individual hasn't revealed to anyone, it's also not protected. These forms of cyberbullying are illegal, and were illegal long before the internet became a thing. Some people think the law needs to go even further, and that new or additional cyberbullying laws are needed. For example, in 2012, a New York State senator proposed an anti-cyberbullying bill that would have essentially banned all anonymous online speech. The bill would have required website administrators to remove any anonymous comments upon request unless the poster agreed to reveal his true name and his home address. The legislation would have undermined the constitutional right to speak anonymously on issues of public interest, a right which the Supreme Court has affirmed multiple times. In addition, several public universities have adopted speech codes that ban constitutionally protected speech. For example, in 2014, one state university adopted an anti-cyberbullying policy that defined cyberbullying to include harsh text messages or emails. Under such a vague and broad definition, simply expressing anger at a roommate for not taking out the garbage could get a student in trouble. Needless to say, when such codes are challenged in court, they invariably are struck down by judges. While the Supreme Court gives some leeway to K through 12 school administrators, they typically don't do the same for speech restrictions at public universities. Aside from the constitutional issues, there is also opposition to new cyberbullying laws because some people believe you can't legislate norms. You can only teach norms. Just because there's a law, people don't necessarily follow it. For example, look at using cell phones while driving. Most people seem to do it, especially teenagers. The law in itself does not render citizens virtuous. So in short, stopping cyberbullying through laws will remain a challenge. Education and parenting are arguably better routes to fix the problem.
As Professor Grabowski said, the schools don't know how to effectively handle cyberbullying complaints and don't provide complete relief or satisfaction after the damage occurs. So often, they kick the problem back to the parents. So if the problem is serious enough, the parents go to the police. The criminal laws and criminal justice system are not set up for cyberbullying. The majority of the criminal code is centuries old, whereas the internet is relatively young. And the criminal justice system mostly uses non-criminal laws like stalking and harassment to control internet-based crimes. Just recently in 2016, the PA legislature passed an anti-cyber harassment law to protect minors, Section 2709, cyber harassment. Minors frequently victimize other minors, so the judge has an opportunity to sentence offender to cyberbullying to a diversionary program or classes to avoid a permanent criminal record if he completes the course satisfactorily. The problem with how the laws are written in Pennsylvania is that a police department could potentially tell parents of a victim of sexting that both parties have violated the law. The law appears to be a deterrent, but it can only be enforced or work if the victim risks punishment as well. So the police might not be the solution either, and parents could be forced into a private lawyer. The civil justice system frowns on these cases because it's not set up for cyberbullying either. You are talking about suing your classmates, ex-significant others, friends, ex-friends, parents of friends, or your school. It's something that can be considered, but it's not like car accidents where the entire civil justice system requires drivers to carry insurance. Quite the opposite. Insurance often excludes claims, and lawsuits against public institutions can be excluded by immunity. So you could have a lawsuit costing anywhere from $20,000, $25,000 up to $100,000 and get a judgment anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million or more. But if you can't collect on it, you can feel victimized a second time. So we will discuss parenting and education as the best ways to control cyberbullying as a plague to our society. A review of the statistics on cyberbullying shows that it's a problem that commands society's attention. According to the Center for Disease Control's biannual study of high school students in 2009, 19% of Pennsylvania students were bullied on school property in the past year. In 2013, it appears that almost every district fails to report. Only 4.5% of the Pennsylvania public school districts, which is 20 school districts, reported bullying impact more than 1% of the students in their student body. The nature of cyberbullying, as it contrasts to regular bullying, is that it casts a much wider net and causes much deeper pain. The particular nature of digital devices allows the cyberbully to have no accountability and to remain anonymous, which widens the amount of bullying that you will have in society, in addition to having more extreme behavior and more severe injury.
Cyberbullying seemed to emerge very quickly. Neither the public nor the parents nor the education system or the legal system was really prepared to respond.
It's so easy for kids to bully with the unlimited access that they have to digital devices, with the lack of accountability that they're held to.
How many people in this room have ever been a victim of some sort of internet harassment? Somebody spreading rumors about you, a bad text? Raise your hand.
And there's a subculture of YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, texting, and she had showed me some of the stuff that she had written. I had no idea.
You know, if you think about that anonymity component, you know, people will say and do things anonymously that they would never say and do to somebody's face. So that really opens up the potential pool of cyberbullies.
So what's the solution? The school and the legal system have no good, easy solution on how to handle the cyberbully. John Vandenburgh discusses that the best way to deal with the problem of cyberbullying is to defeat the problem as a community. It can only be controlled by the group identity of kids supporting one another.
What we needed to do is we needed to create a group identity. And so what we sat back is I started looking at, how do gangs gather their power? Why are gangs in Southern California and California continue to on the rise? When we pumping so much money and effort into them, why are gangs? And so there was something positive about this dynamics of gang. And when you started sitting down and talking to kids would continue to get into gangs for the sense of belonging, the support, the family. And so I sat back and said, well, can we take that same angle? Can we create a family on campus where it represents every kid on campus, and we create a group identity and let that group identity push the movement. So, what we did is we created the PLUS program, Peer Leaders Uniting Students. We created an identity that serves as this motto of kids taking care of kids. And that identity is not a moment in time, it's a lifestyle. And so, on a campus, here in Southern California, we've got 54 high schools and middle schools doing the PLUS program. Every one of those schools has a team of students that have been trained in how to facilitate activities, and these activities are conversations amongst their peers, sitting down and talking about the critical issues on a campus. What are the critical issues on our campus? How do they impact you? How do they impact us? And what can we do about it? You're not in this battle alone. It's about us. And so we started seeing this group identity take shape, that now you're part of something bigger than yourself to go tackle these critical issues. In doing so, it puts a platform on the table that kids can come on a regular basis on a high school or middle school campus and talk about the issues. It's facilitated peer-to-peer. And as part of that, at the end of it, they become part of Plus Two. So the identity is a self-replicating community of kids who are now taking care of kids. And I'll ask the question, all right, show me another theater on a Friday night where we're going to have a couple hundred kids that are committed to addressing this issue of cyberbullying on a Friday night. These kids should be out, but they're committed to coming here.
The lack of accountability of the cyberbully increases the importance and need for the bystander to be responsible, proactive, and conscientious more than ever before.
In terms of cyberbullying, it is something that has changed the way schools function. So 10 years ago, we weren't having conversations about Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Now, kids sometimes don't have a face, don't have a name. They're becoming more and more bold. So things that were once upon a time dismissed on the playground now become threats and create emotional problems and create social problems. And I think that it is weaving, cyberbullying and social media is weaving into everything that we do, from lunch to math class, from recess to bus rides. Everything is impacted by what happens on social media. And unfortunately or fortunately, we don't have a bubble around any school to prevent that. So these kind of conversations are so important because, again, it forces us to have a conversation about what's happening and how it makes us feel.
Starts with one person, one word, one post. This is the reality of cyberbullying. It's not physical, it's personal. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. A cyberbully isn't just one person, it's hundreds. A bystander becomes more than just a witness, they become the bully.
This fatal cycle can only be put to rest one step at a time. And it all starts with you. It can end with one person, one post. Be more than a bystander.
And speak up for the victims of cyberbullying.
The message is, as a bystander, you don't just read, laugh, and forward online material about a bullied individual. Rather, take a stand. Email or message the bully and say, stop. This is not right. You are wrong. It's about breaking the chain, supporting each other rather than perpetuating the vicious cycle. This is to be done group by group, school by school, and district by district as a society. Most of the clips shown in this video series came from the movie Submit the Documentary. Meet the producer, Les Ottolenghi.
I made Submit for two reasons. One, I'm in the software business and I understand online technologies. I also understand that young people are using these technologies as part of their lifestyle, a digital lifestyle. The second reason that I made this movie is because I'm a father. And I came home from work one night, turned on the local news, and saw the story of an 11-year-old boy who had been cyberbullied and then committed suicide. I thought about my 1-year-old son, and I turned to my wife and I said, this can't happen again. This can't happen to anyone else's child. This can't happen to our child. So I made this movie to make sure that these wonderful and powerful technologies that can be used in very good ways were not used in bad ways. I made this film so that all of you that are watching it become aware and are not bystanders. My goal for Submit is awareness of this vast topic called cyberbullying. For parents, for civic leaders, church leaders, law enforcement, and educators to learn more about how they can help protect our children. My goal for this film is to make sure that everyone who sees it becomes active and is not a bystander and is able to stand up to this social problem.
For more resources on the topic of cyberbullying, go to Submit the Documentary's YouTube channel for interviews, clips from the film, and resources. At the time I recorded and uploaded this video, the complete film was available for free on Vimeo. The links for both the YouTube channel and the full documentary are in the description portion of this video. I hope you found this video helpful. Please watch other educational videos on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for new videos. To learn more about my legal services, click the links in the description section of this YouTube video or on one of the video links on your screen. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.